ASMR video here on the channel. Today, as you can tell, we've got a tier list video for you, but rather than just doing one tier list this video, we're going to be doing three somewhat nerdy movie-based tier lists. I am massively into movies, so I figured let's put three pretty cool tier lists into one video, and we're gonna go through them. There will be some movies, particularly in this first one, that I haven't seen, but you know, it's all part of the discussion. If there's a particular tier list you'd like to see, do let me know. I saw, was it maybe yesterday or the day before, Jake Paul at ASMR. He's a channel of a similar size to me. He did a tier list of, what was it? He did ASMR triggers. So let me know if that's something you'd like to see. But yeah, I reckon we get straight in with the first one. And as you can tell, we've got movie trilogies. So I think the best place to start would be to put the ones I haven't seen in never seen. Now, a few I'm going to put in here are probably going to ruffle a few feathers, and I do sincerely apologise for having not seen them. I'll get the big ones out of the way first. I have never seen Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, and I really can't quite explain why I haven't, because I'd describe myself as a big nerd, and I know I would enjoy the films. It's just I've never for some reason got round to watching them, but I need to just force myself to set aside like a day to just watch them all. So I will do it at some point. I apologise to you all. I'm sorry that I let you down. Let me just scan the rest of this. The Godfather, that's another one that's probably gonna annoy a few people. It's talked about as one of the most iconic films, iconic trilogies ever. So, the Man with No Name Trilogy, never seen that. I've never even heard of that actually. The Mad Max Fury Road, who is it? I think it's B-Deck ASMR. He did a video where he spoke about his favourite films, and Mad Max Fury Road I think was his favourite film. Definitely need to get round to watching that. I think apart from that we're good. Yeah, I think we're good to go. So we got a bit of a variety in terms of genre for these trilogies. We begin with Toy Story 1, 2 and 3. A part of my ranking is going to be obviously how good the trilogy is, but another thing that's going to come into play is nostalgia and, you know, what it means to me personally, basically. So Toy Story 1, 2 and 3, obviously a massive part of my childhood. And they are brilliant films, are they? Are they S-tier films, though? I'm not sure they are, because I do think there are better Pixar films than Toy Story. I still haven't seen Toy Story 4 because I refuse, because in my opinion Toy Story 3 was the perfect way to end the trilogy, you know, with Andy going off to college and stuff. Number 4 to me just seemed like a bit of a cash grab, so yeah, I didn't bother watching that, and I don't know if I'm sure I will before I die, but I'm in no rush to. I'm gonna put Toy Story in A tier, I think. Next we got the Spider-Man trilogy, the original Tobey Maguire trilogy. Especially Spider-Man 2, a huge part of my childhood, and although, yes, Spider-Man 3 has its problems and it's very goofy, but the fact that Spider-Man 3 is just so memed now, I think has to put it in S tier, and that's aside from my own personal feelings. I actually quite like Spider-Man 3, I don't think it's that bad. You can really just my opinion. And Spider-Man 1 is brilliant as well. Apart from the MJ mannequin swinging scene. I think it has to go in S tier. I can't bring myself to put it anywhere else. Next up, we've got Pirates of the Caribbean. I believe this is the first three, I assume. What are the first three? Is it Curse of the Black Pearl, Dead Man's Chest, and At World's End? Or On Stranger Tides? I think it's At World's End, right? They're brilliant films, and obviously we've recently had the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, which Johnny won, more or less. Well, he did win, didn't he? Which, hopefully he can get his life back on track, and hopefully he can get some good jobs, and I hope we see him as Jack Sparrow again, because I love these movies. I'm between A and B. I do really like them, but I don't go back to watch them so much. Do you know what I mean? But they are good. So I'm toying between lower end of A or top end of B. I think just to spread things out, I'm going to put it top of B, but I might revise that at the end. Next up, we've got Alien, the Alien Trilogy. Alien, Aliens, and Alien 3. I can't remember if it's got a little title at the end of it. Is Alien 3 the super ridiculous one, or is that number 4? I think 4 or 5. The franchise just goes absolutely off the rails. They're just like, oh, whatever. It's got Alien in the title, it'll still make money. Alien was pretty revolutionary in the horror that it made sci-fi scary. The suspense of, the xenomorph you're waiting for the xenomorph to attack. The suspense was something I think the sci-fi genre hadn't really seen. And Aliens, I prefer Aliens to Alien 1. I think is an absolutely brilliant film. I just can't remember number 3. If it was like duologies, if that's a word, then I think Alien and Aliens would be top tier, but the fact that I can't remember number 3 probably isn't that good a sign, so you know what, I'm going to put it in B tier. Aliens, a very, very good film. Next up, we have we got 3 action movies in a row. Now I'm going to say this now, I love Marvel films and stuff, but I don't like out-and-out action films. I have watched the first 2 Bourne films, and they're just not my cup of tea. Like, they're a good watch, but I'd never go back and watch them again. There's something about action films that just don't really do too much for me. So, sorry Matt Damon, I'm gonna put this in D tier. So, next we have The Matrix. Now, this is probably gonna annoy some people, but I really don't like The Matrix. I don't know, I just find it a bit boring. Let me know what you think about The Matrix down below, but for me it just doesn't do anything for me. I wonder how many times I'm gonna say that this video, but I just don't like it. Is it better than Bourne? Identity, yes, probably. I guess it is kind of iconic. You know what, the first one I remember not being too bad. I'm gonna put it in C tier just so we've got one in each thing. So next we got Terminator. I apologise if you can hear my family in the background. They're currently watching Stranger Things Season 4. Next we've got Terminator. Obviously, iconic character, iconic set of films. The first Terminator is good. I just can't remember too much about the other ones. I remember watching the god-awful recent one. The most 2 recent ones were pretty bad if I remember. But I think just for pure iconicism, is that a word? Just for how iconic it is, I'm going to put it here. I'm definitely going to trigger people, but isn't that isn't that the wonderful thing? We all have our opinions, and rather than abusing me, let me know your opinions down below. What are your S tier? What are your D tier? And next, no questions asked. The Dark Knight trilogy goes to the very top of S tier. Possibly, I'd say it's. This isn't too out of pocket. It's a perfect trilogy. The Batman Begins, I know some people will say it's slow, but I think actually that's good. I think it really takes the time to set up Bruce Wayne as Batman, and you really get to know what Christian Bale's depiction of the character is going to be like. Then we have The Dark Knight, which obviously does have a good story, but really, I think I've said this on the channel before, The Dark Knight Rises is one of my favourite films of all time. I prefer it to The Dark Knight because I think The Dark Knight is a Joker film rather than a Batman film, whereas The Dark Knight Rises, while Bane is an incredible villain, it's all about Bruce Wayne's arc, and not being complacent. That massively dumbs it down, but I just prefer it as a film. But obviously The Dark Knight, one of the greatest performances of all time from Heath Ledger, rest in peace. And then The Dark Knight Rises was a brilliant end. The ending of that film, I remember seeing it in the cinema for the first time and just goosebumps, tears, everything. It really is a perfect trilogy, in my opinion. Well, next up we got two Star Wars trilogies. Now, I assume I put it in the title. One of the tier lists I'm going to be doing is Star Wars, so I won't quickly do this now and not go into too much detail. I think... okay, so I'm going to put like this, and I'm not going to talk too much about them. If you want to know my opinions on the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, then you're going to have to wait and watch the rest of the video. Next up we have X-Men. Okay, so I'm going to skip and just do this one first. So this trilogy is the original X-Men, X-Men 2, and X-Men 3, The Last Stand. It goes in S tier. I'm not going to put it above Spider-Man just for personal preference, but I do love the X-Men. I can't wait to see them in the MCU, but X-Men 1, X-Men 2 and The Last Stand are a fantastic trilogy, and they hold so much just nostalgia for me. So many good memories of watching those films with my friends. And then we've got the sort of the newer films, but like the origin films. We've got, I can't remember what they're called, First Class, that's it, Days of Future Past, which is an insanely underrated comic book movie. So good. And then Apocalypse, which I enjoy, to be honest. I don't think Apocalypse is that bad. It's Dark Phoenix, which is absolutely atrocious, but that's not in this trilogy, so I'm gonna put this at the top of... oh no, I do love the X-Men. Days of Future Past is such a good film. I'm gonna put it... I don't... that's really controversial, putting the prequel trilogy above X-Men. No, I don't think it is actually, because if we go head to head, let's say if we do them in order, First Class versus Phantom Menace. Well, I mean, First Class is probably a little bit better, but I'd actually argue Phantom Menace isn't that bad. Attack of the Clones versus Days of Future Past. Days of Future Past is levels above that. But then, Revenge of the Sith is miles above Apocalypse, so it is difficult. You could... these sort of three are quite interchangeable for me. But let me know what you think. And we're down to our last two trilogies. We have Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones, obviously Harrison Ford. I believe there is a new Indiana Jones film coming out. I don't know how, because Harrison Ford, bless him, his bones are basically dust at this point, but how he's going to be swinging using his lasso, or whatever it's called, a whip, I don't know. But these films, they're less actiony, more adventure-y. I'm pretty sure I'm just making up words today. Yeah, they are enjoyable. I think, again, a lot of nostalgia. I'm gonna put it below Alien, but I think B tier is fair. And then last we have the Captain America Trilogy, First Avenger, Winter Soldier, and Civil War. And obviously, I mean, Civil War and Winter Soldier are two of the best MCU movies in my opinion. Definitely top 10. On certain days, I'd argue one of these would be in my top 5, but where would it be? It's definitely A tier. Oh, I'm gonna get absolutely slewed for the. But my issue is First Avenger is pretty bad. First Avenger is pretty bad. So what I'm gonna do is First Avenger really lets it down. I'm gonna put it in there. I can't possibly rank Captain America above the original Star Wars trilogy. I think that would be a bit of a crime against the movie industry. But yeah, I think I'm relatively happy with that. So S tier we got the Batman Dark Knight trilogy, Spider-Man and X-Men. Obviously 3 comic book movies, but that's what I love the most. In A tier we got Toy Story, then the original Star Wars trilogy, Captain America, the prequel trilogy, and X-Men. Then we've got Pirates of the Caribbean, Alien, Indiana Jones. C tier we got Terminator, Matrix, D. I'm sorry, Matt Damon yet again. The Bourne trilogy. And then these films I haven't seen, so let me know right now what you think about this tier list. What would you change? What do you agree with? What's your favourite trilogy out of these ones on screen, or just the ones not on screen? But for now, that is it for movie trilogies. Let's move on to the next tier list. So, the next tier list we're going to be going with is Star Wars, as you can tell. So we'll do what we did for the trilogy one. We'll start by putting the ones we haven't seen. Actually, I'm going to change this to... oh, this is difficult. I'm trying to do this one-handed. Haven't seen... Oh no, what have I done? Okay. Okay, wait. There we go. We got there in the end. Should have really done that before I started speaking, shouldn't I? So... I'm going to come clean straight away. I haven't watched any of the animated series, but I've just finished a series that I was watching and wanted to finish. And next on my list is to watch Clone Wars and Rebels. Because a friend of mine has said, I have to. It's amazing. Amazing if you love Star Wars. And it's going to be pretty important for the Ahsoka series that's coming out next year, which I think looks really good. So I will watch it. I have absolutely zero idea what this is, some kind of animated cartoon. But anyways, let's do this. So, The Mandalorian, straight away. S tier. I love The Mandalorian. You could argue a few of the episodes are pretty basic, maybe a bit repetitive, but it just, for me, after how badly the prequels dive bombed and just not the prequel, sorry, the most recent trilogy, how quickly that dive bombed and just flopped. The Mandalorian really restored mine, and I'm sure many others, like love for Star Wars. It just found a formula that works so well. The reveal of Baby Yoda, Grogu, was such a surprise. I remember at the end of that season 1, episode 1. By the way, if you see me itching my nose, I'm not picking it. I have horrendous hay fever, and for some reason it's making my nose really dry and itchy. But you don't want to hear about that. But yeah, I just loved it. The end of season 2 was incredible. Even with the clunky CG, it's someone's enjoying Stranger Things. It really did save Star Wars, in my opinion. Next up we got Solo, a Star Wars story. I enjoyed this. I did enjoy it. It was an easy watch. Is it the strongest Star Wars film made? No, certainly not. But you know, it's perfectly enjoyable. I'm gonna put it in C tier. I think C tier is probably fair. Now we got Revenge of the Sith. This film is my childhood. I remember asking, I was I think 11 when this came out on DVD. I still believed in Santa at that point. I wrote a letter to Santa. All I asked for was this on DVD. And Santa replied, well, it was my nana, saying, oh, it's a 12. You can't have it. I've checked my books, you're underage. So I didn't get it. I had to wait till I was 12. So that was kind of sad. But then when I did get it, I just watched it on repeat. And even now, it does hold up. The action is so good. The final fight on Mustafar. I could list so many good things about this. And you could argue this really saved the prequel trilogy. But to be honest, I don't think as a whole the prequel trilogy are that bad. I'm going to put this in A tier. I think A tier is definitely fair. Now we got The Force Awakens. Now this is actually going to be maybe a bit controversial for how I'm going to put it, but I'm going to put it at A tier. Now it is going to be towards the bottom of A tier. But this was such a strong start to the trilogy. Like, I had so much hope for the trilogy after watching this. I know it's essentially copying Return of the Jedi, not Return of the Jedi, A New Hope, sorry. But if it's not broken, don't fix it. Kylo Ren was terrifying in it until he took off his mask. The fight scenes weren't too bad. I just remember in the cinema being so excited where Finn first ignites that lightsaber, because it'd been a little while since we'd had a lightsaber on the big screen, and they nailed it perfectly. I think this is a really strong film. The twist of Han Solo being killed is great. They really went bold, but yeah, it all went so wrong, and that brings us on to The Last Jedi. And straight away, like, I'm putting it at the bottom. It was just such a stupid film. Like, oh, where to begin? I don't like what they did with Luke's character at all. Finn, who was one of the best parts, essentially what they should have done is had Finn be the Jedi, and that's nothing against Rey, because Rey is fine. But the story should have been this ex-stormtrooper who finds out he's a Force user, and his journey from being a stormtrooper to becoming a Jedi would have been far more compelling. But anyways, but then in number 2, they introduced this character Rose, who is just absolutely unbearable. I wish he drove into that turbine, or just let Finn do it, let him actually sacrifice himself. But whatever, I'm gonna try and stay calm, because this film is just a mess. The choreography of the scene in the throne room, the fight scene, like there's those red guards, they're just waving their weapons in the background, not doing anything. Like, it's just Rian Johnson took a big old shit on what J.J. Abrams did with the first one. Was like, now we're just gonna retcon everything. They should have kept Snoke. And then, unfortunately, that left J.J. Abrams having to pick up the pieces with The Rise of Skywalker. I may as well do that. Rise of Skywalker, I'm gonna put there. It's just maybe D is unfair. I'm gonna put it a low C, because there are some cool bits in the cinema when Palpatine says nothing can stop the return of the Sith, and he uses his lightning, the sound effect with the use of his Force lightning, it like shook me, like my bowels were vibrating. It was ridiculous. If you saw it in cinemas, you know what I'm talking about. That was a cool moment, and all the ships coming was okay, but and the fight with the in the water between Kylo and Rey was really good, but again, it's just a clunky story. And when she says Rey Skywalker at the end, I wish she'd have just said Rey Palpatine, like she's sort of owning the fact that, you know, she's got a Sith granddaddy, but she's owning it, you know, that's her name, that's her birthright, but she does the cringy Rey Skywalker, oh gosh. I think it's best we move on, but yeah, The Force Awakens, great start, and then it just all went downhill. So now we've got episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now, I know people hate Jar Jar Binks, and the CG looking back now is a little bit, it hasn't aged fantastically. But I like this film. The main thing I love about this film is the score. The score in episodes 1, 2 and 3 is absolutely flawless. Across the Stars, which I believe is in episode 2, is one of my favourite pieces of film music ever. Well, it's actually one of my favourite pieces of music ever. It's so good, and it gave us Jewel of Fate, which is just, or Jewel of the Fates, which is just such an iconic piece of music, and they used it in the Kenobi trailer, which was a very good choice. But honestly, I like this film. The death of Qui-Gon Jinn was somewhat unexpected. The fighting choreography, like that final battle with Darth Maul, was fantastic. I'm gonna put it. Do you know what? I'm gonna put it in B, because for those reasons listed, and it just has, again, so much nostalgia for me. Just so it's personal sentimentality. It pushes it up a little bit. Okay. So next up we have episode 2, Attack of the Clones, which is actually my least favourite of the trilogy. So I'm gonna put it at the top of C tier. I don't know. This film's a bit of a funny one. There are some good bits, but I just find it a little bit boring. I like Count Dooku in it, and obviously we get to see Yoda flip around. But I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on why I don't like it, but I just don't. It's better than Solo. Thank you. But yeah, that's the prequel trilogy done. Overhated in my opinion. But maybe I'm just blinded by childhood nostalgia. Next up we've got Rogue One. Now I'm going to have to do some moving about. Oh no, I'm not. No, I'm doing it. I think Rogue One is better than Revenge of the Sith. Rogue One. Okay, I like films that don't have conventional happy endings, or better still, don't have happy endings. For example, Infinity War is one of my favourite comic book movies, and that ends with the villain winning. A non-comic book example, Seven. Amazing film where ultimately the villain wins. Rogue One essentially spends time with the characters, but all of the characters die in the end. It's so well done, and it's such a good payoff. And I really think they just nailed the characters, the variety of characters, like the blind sort of Force user. There wasn't really any unbearable characters in it, which is very unheard of in Star Wars. And then the plot's a straightforward one, but it's still great. I can't remember the name of the beach planet. You'll have to remind me in the comments if you know, but what a beautiful setting, like the stormtroopers against these beautiful beaches. Oh, it's just amazing. And then all of that, you sprinkle in some Darth Vader scenes, including, arguably, no, it must be, well, I haven't watched Rebels or whatnot, I don't know if Darth Vader is in there, but that Darth Vader hallway scene, I was not expecting that at all, and it's just absolutely unbelievable, showing how brutal and how powerful Vader is. So good. I just love it, and I go back and watch it, and I still enjoy it just as much as I did the first time. I think it's very, very underrated. Rogue One, an S-tier Star Wars film for me. And then I'm gonna do these kind of quickly, and this is gonna make me sound like a plastic fan, but the original trilogy sort of all blur into one for me. I don't know if you guys feel a little bit like that. I mean, there's one that is the standout for me, and that is Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back is my favourite, so I'm gonna put Empire Strikes Back in there, and then I'm gonna put the rest in here. I think my least favourite is probably A New Hope, just because I find it a little bit slower than the others. But yeah, I think. Oh wait, have I done the wrong way? Yeah, of course I have, because I can't read. There we go. Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, and then New Hope is my least favourite of the three. But yeah, that's gonna conclude it for my Star Wars tier list. Again, let me know thoughts. Let me know what you hate. Let me know if you hate me. And let's move into the final tier list of today's video. So our third and final tier list is going to be a bit of a quicker one. Obviously we've only got 8 movies to do, and that is the Harry Potter movies. I love these Harry Potter movies. I love the books and I love the films. I probably love Harry Potter more than Star Wars, I think. But it's difficult to say because obviously Star Wars, we've got more recent reminders of my love for that, whereas Harry Potter, I know we've got Fantastic Beasts, but I just can't get into those films. There's something about them I just can't buy into. But let's do these. I've obviously seen all of these multiple times, and I mean multiple. So we begin with Philosopher's Stone. I've actually watched this one the most recently because my girlfriend hasn't watched them all the way through. We watched this one, and we haven't watched another one in a long time because I know it's nostalgic, but it just doesn't hold up very well, and for me, I personally enjoy the movies where they get a bit darker, a bit grittier. They're more like adults. I know they're still technically not adults in any of them, but it just doesn't hold up too well, and it's my least favourite of the films now, sadly. So I'm gonna put it in C. I'm not gonna put any in the bottom in D, because none of them are D movies in my opinion. I might have to reorganise these at the end and end up putting one in D, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So I'm going to do these in order rather than the order it's given it to me. Chamber of Secrets. Definitely better than Philosopher's Stone. I still think this is the one with these slugs, and the basilisk. I still think it's, you know what, I'm going to have to put Philosopher's Stone in D, because I can't put them in the same. We'll have it like that for now. Okay, we'll leave it at that. So, next we've got Prisoner of Azkaban. I really, really like Prisoner of Azkaban. I think this is where the films start, and books I guess, start to take a bit more of a darker turn. I know you can argue technically they're all dark in their own right, but just something about this. Obviously the film, they changed production company, changed studio, so the camera quality changed drastically. decide. I think it's an A tier. It's definitely an A tier film. I think the story is brilliant. The only issue is the time travel thing. The only issue with that is it never comes up again. It's never used again in any of the films. Like, would have been pretty useful. But yeah, all the stuff with Lupin, and we get an introduction to Sirius, who is one of my favourite characters. May you rest in peace. So yeah, now we move on to Goblet of Fire. Goblet of Fire is my favourite Harry Potter movie. It was my favourite book, just because all the Triwizard stuff is just so interesting, and this, I keep going on about, this is where it got dark. Like, I love dark things, but the graveyard scene at the end, and obviously the death of Cedric Diggory, they did that so well in the film, where they teleport back and the band starts playing. It's this happy, victorious music, but Harry's literally slumped over Robert Pattinson, no less. His dead body, and the dad, the way he says, "That's my son, that's my boy." Oh gosh, it's getting me emotional thinking about it now. It's literally heartbreaking. Like, I know it's coming every time, but it still just absolutely ruins me. But yeah, it's brilliant in my opinion. Next we've got Order of the Phoenix. I really like this. I really like this film, actually. I remember not enjoying the book too much of this one, if I remember right. But this is where they use the room of requirements, Dumbledore's army. I nearly said Dumbledore's Arby's then. If you watch a YouTube channel called Pretty Much It, you'll know what I'm talking about there. You're gonna start a Dumbledore's Arby's. It's really not funny if you don't know what I'm talking about, so I'll just shut up. I prefer this to Prisoner of Azkaban, actually. I don't think it's... Oh, is it S tier? It is good, you see. It is good. No, I'll leave it top of A. I'll leave it top of A. Now, the sixth installment is, of course, the Half-Blood Prince. This is good in that we get more time spent with Dumbledore. That's for sure. Sorry, I just had like a brain pause there. I just think this film is a little bit slow. The death of Dumbledore is obviously very sad, but I just feel there are some points in this movie where I'm like, oh, we're crawling here. I'm gonna put it in B. I think B tier is fair for Half-Blood Prince. Now, speaking of crawling, we have part 1 of the Deathly Hallows. Like, this and Twilight felt the need to split these into 2 parts. And, okay, I get it more for Harry Potter, because part 2 is fantastic and it's very well paced. But part 1 could have been 45 minutes shorter, to be completely honest. Like, the amount of time they spend in that forest is ridiculous. Was it the Forest of Dean? I still think it's better than Chamber of Secrets. I'd rather watch it, but it's going in C just because it just takes so long. But then on the flip, Deathly Hallows Part 2 is just so well done. It is a brilliant film. I remember seeing it the day it came out, or within the first 2 days it came out, and people were sobbing at the end, because obviously the end of Harry Potter, there will be no more. But in my opinion, it was the perfect end to the films. But I mean, overall, the Harry Potter films are they're all well done. These two don't hold up too well today, but they're all done. I think overall, as a series, they definitely do the books justice. So maybe what I've said is a bit critical, but whatever. We are rambling relaxation, not to hear saying things. So yeah, that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you think about my tier lists in the comments down below, and let me know what tier lists you'd like to see on the channel in the future. They're definitely fun to do, and it's always fun to trigger some people. So if you did enjoy this video, please do give it a like and subscribe